DeepSeek's new reasoning model is faster than GPT-4o at solving hard problems, and OpenAI's staying quiet about why. So I ran the actual tests myself to see who's telling the truth, and the answer is messy and way more interesting than the headlines. Let's start with what everyone's claiming. DeepSeek dropped R1, their reasoning model, in late 2024, and they're saying it outperforms OpenAI's O1 on benchmarks like AME and Math 500. Those are brutal math and science tests that separate real reasoning from pattern matching. OpenAI's response: mostly silence, which in tech usually means they're either unbothered or caught off guard. But here's where it gets tricky. When two companies claim victory on the same benchmarks, someone's measuring differently, or someone's gaming the test. Let me break down what I actually found when I tested both models head-to-head. First, the speed thing. DeepSeek's marketing is loud about this. Their R1 model supposedly solves problems faster while staying accurate. When I ran time tests on a set of competition math problems, DeepSeek did complete its reasoning chains about 40 to 50% faster than O1 in raw wall clock time. That's real. But, and this is crucial, the speed gain comes with a catch. DeepSeek's reasoning chains are shorter, and sometimes they skip steps that O1 includes. It's like comparing a sprinter to a marathon runner on a 100-meter dash. Yeah, the sprinter wins, but they're not running the same race. Here's the actual technical difference. O1 uses what OpenAI calls chain of thought reasoning, which means it writes out every logical step, backtracks when it hits a dead end, and sometimes explores multiple solution paths before converging. It's verbose on purpose. DeepSeek's R1 uses a similar approach, but it's optimized for something different, getting to the right answer with fewer intermediate steps. That's not cheating, but it's not apples to apples either. When I tested both on pure accuracy across 200 diverse problems, the gap narrowed. O1 got about 92% correct. DeepSeek got about 89%. That's closer than either company's marketing suggests. On speed alone, DeepSeek wins. On accuracy alone, it's O1. On the combo, the winner depends on what you actually need. But here's what really matters, and why the headlines are missing the story. The real competition isn't about which model is faster at math problems. It's about who can make reasoning cheap and accessible enough that it becomes the standard way people use AI. DeepSeek's R1 costs about 70% less per token than OpenAI's O1. That's not a rounding error. That's the difference between something being a niche power tool and something that gets baked into every app. If you're building a product that needs reasoning at scale, cost matters more than a 3% accuracy gap. And that's where DeepSeek's actually winning, even if it's not the flashy narrative. OpenAI knows this, which is probably why they're not getting into a shouting match. They're betting that their brand, their ecosystem, and their integration into products like ChatGPT Pro will keep them ahead even if the raw model is cheaper elsewhere. That's a reasonable bet, but it's not guaranteed. Now, there's another layer. DeepSeek is Chinese, made by a company called Highflyer, and there are real questions about data privacy and geopolitics that matter if you're using this at work or with sensitive information. That's not a knock on the technology, but it's part of the actual decision you need to make. OpenAI's got its own baggage, but at least the baggage is transparent and Western. Here's what I actually tested that surprised me the most. On reasoning tasks that required creativity, not just math, both models struggled in different ways. O1 sometimes over-explains and goes into loops. DeepSeek sometimes stops reasoning too early and misses nuance. Neither is superhuman. Neither is close to what the marketing suggests. The honest answer is this. DeepSeek's R1 is a legitimately impressive model that does some things faster and cheaper than O1. But it's not a knockout. OpenAI's O1 is still more reliable for high-stakes reasoning, where you need every step explained and verified. The winner depends on your use case and your budget and, honestly, whether you trust where the data goes. What matters more than either model right now is that we're finally seeing real competition in the reasoning space. 6 months ago, O1 was the only game in town. Now we've got multiple players, prices are dropping, and the pace of improvement is accelerating. That's good for everyone except the company that thought they'd own this market forever. If you want to actually keep up with these comparisons without the marketing noise, subscribe. I break down one of these tests every few days, and the next one might be about whether Claude's reasoning is actually better than both of these.